shows, Jamie. What do you want? Do you want to like exchange? Like, you give me your childhood, I make fun of them, and then I'll tell you mine, and we can talk about how wise it is.
Yes,
as per usual of the format.
Right. Let's try that. So as I was thinking about this, I was really concerned because I did not want to end up this being the exhibit A, B, and C of why I don't have good taste in TV.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure that that's how this is going to pan out. I thought about my childhood, and I saw other people's answers, and I just loved, that like Dawn Reese said Cosby Show and Family Ties. And I love that. And then when I started thinking about legitimately about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, what do I remember watching most clearly on TV? It was Saturday nights, and it was the trifecta of The Lawrence Welk Show, Love Boat, and Fantasy Island.
Wow, Jamie, what do you want me to do with that?
Listen, and here's how that impacted my life. Like, one, I still love variety shows. I love music on TV. Like, anytime music's on TV or there's a singing episode of Buffy, like, I love it. Because
you don't like Glee, though, do you?
I'm okay with Glee. I don't like I feel like Glee's not a variety show other than it's just bad Leah Michele karaoke.
How dare you? She's great.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then like the Love Boat, like my dream in life was to go on a cruise, which already shows you where my bar was placed on that. All I could think about was I'm going to get to go on a cruise and Gopher's going to make me a fruity drink and it's going to be really exciting. And so when I went on my first cruise, I loved it. And we talked about that. I love cruises. I think cruises are amazing. And it's because of that Love Boat instilling in me. And then Fantasy Island, when I went to Hawaii and someone put a layer around my neck, like I thought I'd died and gone to heaven. I was like, oh my God, where's tattoo? Like this is pretty exciting. So I wish I could tell you that it was like Muppet Babies that shaped my childhood, but really it was not.
Okay, let me tell you mine, and then we can draw some conclusions about you and your person. Like instead of like specific shows, I thought probably more broadly it was like TGIF, just that whole slate, Hanging Mr. Cooper, Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step, like dialed in like every Friday night. That was it. So like not one necessarily more than the other. And then Nickelodeon, man, like that slate, like I was on it. I guess it was maybe Sundays after church. You'd have like Clarissa Explains It All, stuff like that. And then I was talking with Ashley the other day about Erie, Indiana and the Midnight Society. Like I was all in on that, like that really kind of colored in the margins of my childhood. But on the flip side of that, okay, I distinctly remember watching Mad About You, watching Wings, and watching Designing Women. Like that might be more significant in terms of how I kind of determine my TV taste. So my question to you, understanding your horrific slate of TV shows for your childhood, do you think the TV shows that we watch in our childhood are more what we select or more what is foisted upon us by our parents?
I think for me, it is more foisted upon us because, well, one, I can tell that you were rich, you were wealthy because you had Nickelodeon and we did not have cable. So there was no other option. Like I saw other people mention things and I would think, oh my gosh, I did not watch Lizzie McGuire until it came on ABC Saturday morning because I couldn't see it because it was on the Disney Channel. Sure. So I don't have any concept of that because I never had, my parents didn't have cable, and even when I left for college, they still did not have cable.
Right.
So I was impoverished.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, what's sadder? Like, is it sadder that you didn't go out on a Friday night or sadder that I didn't go out on a Saturday night?
Jamie, I was like 9. What do you want me to do? What do you want to do?
I'm just saying,
make it rain somewhere? Make it rain at the roller skating rink?
With people. You ask a 9-year-old what they're doing Friday night, and they will pull out their iPhone calendar and explain to you their agenda for the next 3 weeks.
Let's go ahead and court the extrovert-introvert controversy. I hated spending the night at people's houses. Like, broad statement, unpopular opinion alert, spending the night at people's houses for the birds. Like, that's, who cares? Like, that's not a good thing. Don't do that. Like, it's bad. I can already tell my kids, like when his buddies was over and the mom was like, do you want to come spend the night at our house? And he was like, heck no. And he's a super extrovert, but he can realize it. He can look at it and be like, why would I go spend the night at somebody else's house? Like that, there's no value. Why
would you not go spend it? What if that? Now, listen, you need to be selective about who you go spend the night with. You don't need to go spend the night with somebody without cable. You need somebody with Wi-Fi. You need somebody who buys brand name Coca-Cola. Like, but how is that not fantastic?
Were you
that again shows that you're rich. That is why Ro doesn't want to leave his rich house. And that's why people probably want to come over to y'all's house all the time.
I think as a kid, you were probably a social climber. You were like, are you going to be my friend? Do you have cable? I will spend the night at your house now. I think that defined all your decisions.
I was so disappointed when Stacy's mom got arrested for cocaine because that meant we couldn't go to Stacy's house anymore, and she had a pool and a trampoline.
Is that a real story? Because you just said Stacy's mom, and then someone got arrested for cocaine. Like, I feel like you're drawing from pop music songs.
No, that's an actual story. That's a real thing. She lived in Briarcliff Estates.
Let's say that for Popcast After Dark.
Right. But that's what I'm just saying. So now I will say, I did think through this. My other show that really did define my childhood was Growing Pains. And it was because this may not be for better reasons. It's because I wanted Maggie and Jason Sieber to be my parents because they had a stay-at-home parent. I did not like that my mother worked outside the home. And so I wanted someone to pick me up from school, and I didn't have to ride the bus. I wanted to date, not marry, but date Mike Sieber.
Sure.
And I wanted to be Carol Sieber. Now, did I reconcile that I would be Carol Sieber, dating my brother? No. I'm just saying in concept.
Sure.
I liked that Carol Sieber was not blonde, and she wasn't Tiffany Amber Thiessen, so there was better hope that I might could be Carol Sieber rather than be the pretty. I couldn't be Lizzie McGuire. That was not an option.
Where do you stand on Boners to Bone?
I have a lot of nostalgia for that.
Okay. Just yes or no?
No.
No. Okay. Well, it's you. Where do you stand on Leonardo DiCaprio's time on Growing Pains?
Yes, 100%.
His performance, yes. But the show, it was bad, yeah. You could tell.
It didn't work. But it was, what was so funny is I was sad when I was glad for Kirk Cameron, the person, when he became a Christian. I was sad for how it impacted the show because he started calling all the producers pornographers. Oh. And he got everybody fired. And then remember the blonde that he was engaged to? He got her fired because she had posed for Playboy. Julianne McCuff?
I don't know. You're already way deeper than I ever got with it.
I know. I really loved Growing Pains very much.
Tell me about your teenage years. I want to see how this trend extends itself. Okay,
so I have the dichotomy. So my teen years, which were confusing in real life, were also confusing in pop culture. So I was the perfect age for Saved by the Bell. I was 13 when Saved by the Bell started.
Okay.
So I loved. It was like I couldn't choose between Zack and Slater. Like the dilemma on the show is the dilemma of my life. Sure. I could not choose. So I loved Saved by the Bell and was obsessed with it, and like had to wake up, like, please don't let me sleep late because it's coming on. Like, I need to wake up. Mm-hmm. But then the other side of that is my dad started watching a show because he loved an earlier version of it. And I was like, I love this too. And it was, you ready? Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, Jamie Golden. What is going on?
Listen, and it developed, there's so many things that came from that. Like, one, it developed a love for sci-fi that I still have to this day. Not obsessive, but like I do love sci-fi. I wanted to be Deanna Troi because she had gorgeous hair and looked good in a jumpsuit. And she had a British accent, which that made me love her all the more. And then I really do think in those teen years, because I think you're looking for someone to be attracted to that's like not Zach, but somebody like a real man. And the real man was First Officer William Riker, who had a beard. And I was like, I'm all in. I don't know anything about this guy.
Do you think that was the loins from which your obsession with dudes and beards sprang forth from?
I think it is.
Yeah.
That's an origin story for everybody listening. Boom. That's where it comes from.
Jamie,
I think you're right. It's really overwhelming. Yeah. So I love both of those. And if that tells you anything about me, that I can be the popular person at the table, and then I can also be the biggest nerd at the table too.
Can I just, because I feel bad for you right now and I'm trying to make you feel better, can I disclose something?
Please.
When I was a teenager, like I probably had like a year and a half phase of like wrestling. I was watching like WCW. I was watching Hollywood Hogan, etc. I know like our demographic. I should just be saying nonsensical words right now. But there was a time where I went for that. I just don't want you to feel so alone right now with your taste.
I think wrestling is more embarrassing than Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I was a 13-year-old kid though, you know.
I was 15 or 16.
I know, Jamie. What I'm saying, like I was a 13-year-old boy. wrestling seems logical, right? For you,
I don't know. You didn't know me then.
It's not on message with the Jamie Golden teenage brand. You know what I mean?
It just says that you can overcome your TV watching. That you can battle through it. I don't think everybody
early mistakes kind of tend to continue to be mistakes. You know what I mean? My teenage shows clearly Saved by the Bell, like far and away. That's a life show, I guess. But also you could tell kind of where I was trending in terms of melodrama and things like that was Dawson's Creek. Huge fan of Dawson's Creek. Like gigantic, like irrationally a fan of Dawson's Creek. And then 90210. What does that tell you? If I told you those were the TV shows of my teenage years, what would that suggest to you?
I would suggest that you got perms and were neon and were a girl.
Perms and got neon? What are you talking about?
Those are girl shows.
You know,
those are Dawson's Creek.
God, you're so sexist. You are so sexist.
Are shows. They're teen soap operas, which is not surprising. You went on to watch
melodramas. It's the OC is what you're looking for.
I went to watch the OC.
Yeah,
so calm down.
But see, at least I'm staying on brand. Star Trek.
I don't know that on brand is a compliment in this situation. It's like, well, I used to watch Designing Women, and then I watched.
My mom wanted me to watch Designing Women because she liked it. Okay, amazing. How dare you?
No, I'm just saying, like, I'm right that those two shows are teen girl dramas. Those were the target demo for those were 13 to 24-year-old women, and you just claimed those as your two favorite shows.
I don't get credit for being someone who sees outside the box and isn't like beholden to traditionally male shows. I don't get that.
Do you know what people who are embarrassed say? I'm outside the box. That's what they say.
No one's embarrassed that I'm outside the box. What are you talking about? Okay, I did watch Saved by the Bell though.
Yes, well, no, and I even think that is what was it that you loved about Saved by the Bell?
Wait,
what was it?
Jason Priestley, Dylan, like those people aren't.
You mean 90210?
Did I have like super long sideburns in high school? Yeah, Jamie, I did. I did.
That's so funny. Were you attracted to any of the girls on the show? Like Jenny Garth?
How dare you? I don't know what you're insinuating. I was super into Jenny Garth.
I'm just saying, when you went for who are the characters that impacted you the most, it was Jason Priestley.
No, I'm saying those are dudes. Like, those are guys. Like, I wasn't into
I don't know that they're dudes.
Andrea or whatever. What was I going to say? No, I think we talked at length about my weird thing, my embarrassing stories about Katie Holmes. So, like, Joey Potter, that's right there. Like, that makes sense, right?
Makes sense. Well, it makes sense, but let's go for the record who have not heard in the past that you wrote
we don't. Letters. I think this is where we encourage people to listen to our backlog. I don't know that we don't really need to muddle like different episodes. We're trying to be.
I did not write letters to Wesley Crusher or Will Wheaton.
Wesley Crusher.
I did not write letters to him. I did not.
Because no one wants to write a letter. No one wants to write a letter. Then Dawson's Creek captured the imagination of America, Jamie. Jeez.
Oh my gosh, that is not the byline of that show. Please calm down.
It should be.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
let's hear about your terrible adulthood.
I know. So I thought college was when I started watching TV. So I have 3 shows for adulthood. So my college years I kept thinking I wanted it to be Friends, and it was definitely part of my college years and early 20s. But the truest show of my college years was ER. And ER was our whole dorm. I went to a really liberal arts college where everybody was pre-med or pre-law. And so we all gathered and watched, very aggressively, guys and girls watched ER. And
how does one aggressively watch ER, Jamie Golden?
Like, you got to stop everything you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter that there's a kegger on Thursday night. We got to get back to the dorm. Dickey dorm, by the way. It's called Dickey dorm. We had to get back to Dickey and watch ER. And so it influenced me so much that, I love John Carter so much that I looked for specifically a guy who was clean cut and pre-med.
Okay.
Found one, dated him over a year, although I did not enjoy his company.
Okay.
Because I was like, this is my future. I made a trip to Chicago simply because I loved it. We went to Warner Brothers Studios the last year that it was filming. And I remember walking into the ER and going, this looks just like ER. And they were like, it is ER. This is where it's filmed. I was like, oh my God. I loved ER that much.
What? Let's have a real conversation here. What percentage of influence do you think the content, the culture we consume, has on our life decisions?
Well, I think it depends on how invested you are in it, or how much you enjoy it, or are connected to it. like, I feel like it's influenced my other pop culture consumption.
See, hold on. I disagree, because I think the more invested you are in it, like if you're obsessed with Friends, like I think that makes you less likely to go for a guy like Joey. You know what I mean?
No.
Because I think it's so on the nose that you're like, I'm totally ripping off this guy's like Joey. I can't do that.
No, you're wrong. I did love Friends and got a Rachel haircut. I loved Friends and put a curtain in front of my sink and took off the cabinet doors.
Yeah, those are okay. Those are more like affectation choices. I'm talking like life choice. Like, should I go here? Should I move here? Should I date this kind of person?
Well, I was thinking about, I can't travel in space for Star Trek, but I did want to date. I wanted to date Zach in high school.
But you just said like you dated a pre-med dude because you were into ER, right?
Absolutely. And I like John Carter. Like, I was like, I really like him. So the things about that character I liked.
Sure.
So I think that can be true whether you read books, or I think all of that can influence.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'm not saying it's healthy.
No, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's a reality. I'm saying what percentage, like, seriously speaking, like, not just yourself, like, let's speak broadly because we're totally qualified to do that. What percentage of people's choices are influenced by the culture they consume?
27%.
27%. I think it's more than that.
You really do?
I really do.
Well, I look at the world of, like, I have a college roommate that is a computer crimes investigator. And she said, like, CSI blew up once CSI came on the air. Like, everybody wanted to do crime scene investigation for the, she works for the Florida Bureau of Investigation. And so she was like, it blew up because suddenly people saw it and thought, okay, so maybe it just expands the world to you, and you just go, these are the kind of people that you can encounter, and these are the kinds of jobs you can have, and these are,
I think it's 70%.
Really?
I think it's 70%. I think we have so much choice that I think once we are exposed to certain things and we like it, I think a lot of us are kind of rudderless. And if we see a template of something that works, we kind of drift to it. I really do.
All right. Well, that makes me nervous about my other adulthood TV shows, because it probably means I'm going to get stranded on a desert island, and I'm also going to be an undercover spy.
Hey, there are worse things. My adult TV shows, Lost. That was a big one for me.
Yes, Lost is another one of mine. Yeah.
The Wire. I think that was the first time I watched I don't generally like movies or TV shows where it really like sits in a different culture or like setting, like a culture I'm not familiar with. But The Wire was the first one that did that made you kind of think about, oh, the world's not really like I'm used to. It's usually more different and probably in a crappier way. And then Sopranos. That was the first like show I watched that made you really contemplate like the individual and how, and like life and what happiness is and what it is and what we're more than likely destined for in terms of our own lives and happiness.
And again, it shows how wealthy you are because those are on HBO and that's on a premium channel.
Jamie, you ever heard of Netflix? You just Netflix those things. Boom.
Is that what you did?
That's what I did.
Okay.
That's what I did.
I'm going to trust that that's the truth because I do not believe that it is the truth. Listen, mine were Alias and Lost, which tells you so much about my love for J.J. Abrams, which I also love Felicity. I mean, that defined my 20s as well. But I realized what I loved about those shows was it made me realize I really do not like self-contained shows. I love mythology. I love overarching themes. So shows that I've always loved now all fall into that category. Like, I like an ongoing, something that's not resolved at the end of the 30 minutes or the end of the hour. It's why I really, really love this current trend for 10-episode arcs or 8-episode arcs like True Detective or Grace Point that's coming out. Like, I love that because I like that I have to pay attention. I don't like TV shows where I don't have to pay attention. But what I realized about Lost and Alias was the first time, because I watched those with the internet. Those were shows that were raised on the internet. And so what happened was there were now recaps, which was something that never existed before. And there were viewing parties and there were spoilers. You could find, you could find video caps for the next 2 episodes. And I would seek those out. And it was just neat to be a part of that. Like, it was the first time I felt like I was watching shows with other people, kind of like a Bachelor feel. part of the reason I think so many people love The Bachelor is when you're watching it with other people who think it's ridiculous. Well, that's why I loved Lost so much, is because those were actually conversations we could have.
Sure. It's just more community. Okay. So that brings up an interesting point of like, so we have, it seems like the live shows or the live watching experience is going away because we have all these different ways we can rewatch shows or catch up or binge or whatever. So we have these two different things, the binge kind of model, and we have the live watch with people model. What do you think over the next 10 years will persevere more?
Oh, it'll be 100% the binge model.
I think that's the easy answer, but part of me thinks there's something to what you're talking about, like watching live with people and being able to talk about it, because there's nothing I like better. Like I feel so sorry for someone who didn't watch True Detective live with the world, because that was part of the fun, was like just trying to like muddle through the weirdness of it and figure it out. Like that made up for half the fun I had watching it, but you won't get that when you binge it. And I think there's a value to that won't necessarily go away.
Well, I think the problem is, though, so few Americans are on Twitter. I think we like to build it up that it's this huge thing. It's just not. It's probably.
I'm not even talking about Twitter. I'm talking about like just recaps of stuff.
No, sure, that's different. But like, I watch very few things live. Like, I watch award shows live. I watch Miss America live. But generally, I watch no scripted TV ever. Do I watch it live? But I watch it that week, or I watch it the next day. So I can definitely participate in that. Like now, recaps, it used to be, I mean, I've even gotten sad about recaps. It used to be that recaps were the next day, and, Jeff Jensen had thought through and wrote 9 pages about Lost, and it was great. Now a recap is up by the time the show ends, because they've all gotten screeners early. So like the average person can't even begin to think about writing like you writing the Bachelor recaps was amazing, but you almost couldn't get away with that now, because now all the your recap would get lost in the shuffle, even though it's quality, because everybody else wrote the recap because they saw the episode 2 days before. So I don't know that you can do that anymore, because people now just really, they're trying to streamline their lives, and they go, I want to watch what I want to watch, and I'm hearing about these great shows. I mean, look at the hoopla because Gilmore Girls is going to be on Netflix. Like, people were like so excited, which I feel like if I rewatch it, I'm going to dislike it. So I've decided to not rewatch it.
Because it sounded like you just looked down your nose pretty hard at that, Jimmy Gold. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
I loved Gilmore Girls at the moment, but I feel like if I rewatch it, I'm going to be disappointed. But like Doctor Who's a great example of a show that I didn't watch in 2005 when it came out. I watched it in 2013 and binged it and loved it and still love it and love connecting with people on it.
Doctor Who, to me, it's like one of those segues. Like, I know people might have them and ride them, but like mostly people just look silly when they freak out about them. To me, is that what you said to all the people who watch Doctor Who? Yeah, I'm saying it right to their face. Saying it to your face.
Thank you for distracting from my Gilmore Girls insult and going straight to your Doctor.
You're like one of those people riding a Segway in like a subway or downtown New York, carrying a PSL, drinking it, and everyone's just like, "What is your deal? Like, what's the big deal about that thing?" Okay, let me ask this before we stop. Going forward, do you think people will start to define their childhood, teenage, adult years by like the shows that were on concurrent with that time for them? Or like, oh, you know what? When I was a teenager, I binged Lost, and that was awesome.
I think it'll be binges. Like it'll be a thing where they look at it and go, I really loved, Gotham because I binged it.
Because the supply is going to be so much so that people will be able to pick from this huge inventory of shows and not necessarily like, well, it's TGIF. It's either Full House or right. I got to go spend the night with someone because Jamie thinks that's what cool kids do.
Because that's cool. Those are like I couldn't go to my room, and plus we only had one TV, so that's why a lot of my parents' viewing got foisted on me because we had to win. Did you have like 2 TVs or 3 TVs? You were wealthy.
No, look, don't use my own word "foisted" at me and then insult me. Don't you dare do that again.
So I think now because of gadgets and access that I can, I just think about the movie This Is 40 when Maude Apatow, the Judd's daughter, who's in the backseat of the car watching Lost on her iPad, and they're like, turn off the iPad. She's like, I only have 8 episodes left. Like, that is what is going to be that defines our future.
It's a dark future, Jamie Gold. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's not.
Well, if we didn't hear from you already, let us know what the shows that defined your lives were, childhood, teenage, adult years. Go on Facebook, facebook.com/the Popcast, or let us know on Twitter @PopcastPod.
And what we'll do is we'll assess your personality. We'll tell you what your strengths and needs are.
Yeah, I'll be like, nah, you sound like a Sagittarius, yo. And Jamie will be like, you sound like an INTGF 4. Jeez, kill me now.